Hey, good afternoon. This is Lee Iben with Action Coach Campus, and this is our episode of Business Basics. And our special guest today is Jackie Arreola with Jackie Arreola Insurance in Washington, Iowa. Welcome, Jackie. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great, and it's actually Jacqueline Arreola LLC. So I try to differentiate the personal Jackie with the business.
Got you. I like that. You know, that's
Yes.
funny because my whole name is Leland, but I think only my mom calls me that. So we'll leave it at that.
And everyone has known me Jackie. So when I say Jacqueline Arreola LLC, I feel like I'm saying, like a third party, like it's not me, it's a different entity, and indeed it is.
That's right. Well, when you go home, right, you're leaving your work behind. That's a good thing. So we hope, right? That's the plan. So now tell me, have you done insurance all your life, or is this a relatively new venture? How did you get into this?
Well, neither one of them. I was a personal banker for almost 20 years with 16 years in one location here in Washington. But we were such a small bank, and we used to do a little bit of everything. So my title was personal banker, and I was doing loans, consumer loans, and real estate. And we did all of our underwriting, including life and disability insurance. So in order for me to sell that, I needed to have my license.
Yes.
But then before that, I was also part of the escrow department, and I was dealing with a lot of the insurance agents locally and within the surrounding counties. So I knew how to read a coverage. I knew how to read the deck pages and the dwelling and this and the liability. So I was exposed to it for almost 16 years before venturing on my own.
Oh my goodness. And that's still a big step. I mean, you knew it all, you had the knowledge, but just to go out on your own like that is kind of a big step, isn't it?
Well, a lot of people said to me when I told them what I was doing, that I was doing something crazy, that people were actually doing the opposite. They were merging, they were selling, they were not opening independent agencies. So that did not discourage me, because I knew what I wanted. And I knew that I wanted to try it, and I was going to do it. And for me, failure was not an option.
Excellent.
So I knew that I was going to be doing something that it had been in my mind and that I was working towards. I was getting myself very prepared. I did everything that I needed to do. And when I opened the insurance agency, I was still a full-time employee at my previous employer.
Okay.
And everyone was like, so when are you going to leave the bank? And I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm doing this on weekends and weekdays. This is going to be my side job.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm going to build my clientele, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, my base, so I can do this and that. Well, it didn't took 2-3 months when I knew that I had to take the next step. That was way, way sooner, but in a good way.
It is a good thing. You know, that's funny you say that, Jackie, because when my wife and we opened up her business, this is 21 years ago, it was the same thing. I was her business manager, but I had a full-time job. I worked in marketing at the Gazette up in Cedar Rapids. And my team was saying, so Lee, when is it that you're planning to leave? And it's like, I'm going to do both. Well, like you, it was a few months into it. It's like, all right, guys, see you later, bye. Because it had gotten to be so busy on our business venture that I couldn't do both at the same time. So what was it that prompted you? What was it that said you wanted to, it was just started off as a side hustle, kind of an idea first?
Well, I grew up in a female household where they had, like, my grandmother had her own business. My mom had her own business when we were in New York. Her siblings still had businesses. So it was just part of my upbringing, like part of who I was. And I decided to be a parent. So I used to be more careful as to which route I'm going to take. Once my kids, my two oldest left for college, things started to change. And somehow one of my best friends was doing a side job with insurance. And she was like, well, Jackie, you're bilingual. I want to do a Spanish presentation, this and that. And I was like, sure, I'll help you.
Right.
And by then, I was very involved in a nonprofit that I'm one of the co-founders, Latinos for Washington. So I kind of got used to the public speaking, you know, being in front of people. It didn't kind of like bother me anymore. Part of the nonprofit, we were doing workshops, and somehow I kind of got into being the PR, like always being on the phone, recording videos. It just kind of came easier as time went by. So when I did the presentation, not only I knew the info, but also I knew a lot of the people, and it was kind of like something that it was okay with me.
Right.
So I took charge, I did the presentation, and I remember that I invited my husband now. Back then we were just friends.
Okay.
And I say, hey, come along. He's very shy. Well, he's not shy, but he's the opposite of me.
Okay.
And he's like, well, and I'm like, listen, they're gonna have free dinner. He's like, okay, now we're talking. So he came alone, he tagged along, and the presentation was about insurance, all type of insurance. So this is me. I had just reviewed the info and I was like, oh, I can do this. So we had like different material that we needed to cover, and I was going at the slides, but I just kind of like memorized, and I just took my own info. And I really enjoyed. I took charge. I had everyone engaged. Somehow, like I'm usually quiet, but I became like somebody else. Like we were doing jokes. We were getting people engaged, and I was trying not to put anyone down. It was like, ask me questions, because there's no dumb questions and this and that, and trying to put it into words that we can understand, because when you're talking about insurance, like a lot of industries, there's a lot of acronyms, there's a lot of things that we think everyone knows, and they don't know that.
Right.
So at the end of the shop, at the end of the presentation, I asked my husband, my boyfriend, my friend then, I was like, hey, what do you think? And one of the things I admire and don't like the most about my husband is that he's very honest. He like too honest, and he would tell me straight to my face, no, this and that. He said to me, you were like a fish in water. For me, that was like music in the ears.
Right.
And I was like, really? I was like, well, I have always wanted to do this on my own, open my own business and this and that. And he was just looking at me like, so why are you not doing it? I was like, excuse me? I'm like, well, money, time. He's like, how much do you need? I was like, oh, now we're talking. Let's talk about business now.
That's right.
And that's how we became partners, not just in the business, but also.
Right.
I knew it was coming. I knew something was going to happen, because when we decided to name the business, I wanted to put my name. I said, people know me. I'm selling Jackie, not insurance.
Right.
And it's like, well, why don't you name it? Why don't we name it Jacqueline Arreola? And I was like, what? Are we getting married? And he just like smiled, and I was like, okay. It was coming. So that's how it all began. But then it was not just fun and this and that. I was working full time. I was so busy with the nonprofit. I was involved in so many nonprofits back then. I had my daughter in high school still. She just graduated, very involved, working full time, and then researching and doing all the things. And the more I was researching, the more non-positive info I got.
Mm.
And I had conversations with people that were in the industry and they had retired, and it was not the most hopeful conversation, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this happen.
Right.
I am not going to let this happen. I met someone and it was quite the opposite. And she was like, Jackie, you're just like meant to be with me. And I'm like, nope, I'm doing this on my own. I'm not going to be with you.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd rather stay at the bank, be in my
Yes.
comfort zone if I don't want to take the challenge. So when I was listening to your presentation, yes, you have to do the research. You have to educate yourself. You have to do the compromise. You need to do sacrifices, because I was studying the whole time. I was reading about things. I was creating the company. I was doing all that on my own. Yes, my husband, it's my partner, but just financially, I mean, and that's a big plus.
It is.
Because we are very fortunate that when we opened, we did not took any loans. And that I knew it was a great start.
Right.
But I did a lot of work behind the scenes. I did not just want to do it. I took charge, I took the steps, and I went for it. I took the dive.
Yes. Well, and like you said, it was when you gave that presentation that your boyfriend at the time said, you're like a fish in water. It struck a nerve of passion with you that you really hadn't explored that much beforehand. Like those years, 20 years at the bank. And I think that was maybe the deciding factor in your head. Like, you know what, this is truly something I want to do. I love that, Jackie. That's great. So how has it been? Now you've been in the insurance industry by yourself for how many years now?
2 years.
3 years. And it's going, how's it going?
2 years. Well, the first few months, it was like, wow, like I was not expecting it. The first year was amazingly challenging. I grew a lot. When this year came around, I had goals and objectives like everyone should. And then we had COVID-19. So that took a step, you know, that kind of like made me hold my step and said, okay, how do we adjust? But then I realized, you know what, Jackie, you're very fortunate because you have a business that can survive without being open to the public. But I was open. None of the insurance agents were open, but I was. And I did get sick, but not because of the COVID-19, something else. But I was overworking myself.
Yes.
So that just took me like into a different path. And then I realized, you know what, it's okay. I'm gonna take a different route, but I'm gonna get to my destination. So I consider myself that I'm doing really well compared to other entities, compared to other industries like the restaurants. I'm doing things differently now in a way that I'm trying to diversify, not just do insurance, but do other things. Because I feel like, okay, if I cannot compete in that industry because I need to have more years into it because they look for the years of experience. Okay, how do I do it to survive? So I'm not just waiting here, waiting for customers to call me and say, hey, so I'm taking other steps to keep growing or keep making money in different ways.
Yes.
So I would say that I took a step that I didn't think I was gonna take it, but it has been really challenging. But I realized that I enjoy it. I enjoy taking challenges, and sometimes I need to remember that I need to go home and sleep.
Right.
I need to take care of myself so I can keep growing.
Yes.
So when I talk to one of the sales reps that I work with one of the companies, he's always like patting me on the back, like, hey, Jackie, you're doing wonderful. Especially for being just one person run insurance company, like agency. So sometimes I feel like I don't want to like blow my whistles and horns. I want to keep my feet on the ground. But
Right.
then when I see the numbers every month, it's like, okay, Jackie, it's not that bad.
That's good.
But then I'm more frugal in a lot of departments, not just in the business. I did not take a vacation, and I'm not planning on taking a vacation. I'm doing things a little bit different because I feel like we don't know with this environment.
Yep.
So
right.
I need to eat because we need that fuel, but I don't need to go eat to that expensive restaurant. So
Yes.
I'm making a lot of changes, not in my personal, but also in the business. Like, okay, where can I cut? But then not compromising the
Yes.
quality of the business.
Right. I love that too. That's so true that as small business owners, especially, we have to really watch our pennies in everything that we do, because it adds up. It makes a big difference. And you're right. You don't want to make compromises, but if there's areas that we can cut, we have to make that call to do that. And that is one of the sacrifices of running a small business. Now, tell me, you're in the insurance industry. Do you prospect quite a bit? Do you make phone calls out to people, or do you run your business where people more come to you? How does that typically work?
Well, I guess I'm lucky because I don't have to make any phone calls yet.
Oh, good.
Yet.
Yeah, that's unusual.
That does not mean that I'm not going to do it. A lot of referrals. I get a lot of referrals. So that has been working wonderful. And one of the things I changed, some people might not agree with me, I don't do any ads on the paper. I have not done anything but one. Okay. And it has to do something with my daughter graduating.
Yep.
I'm helping, or I'm putting my money into activities in the community.
Good.
So there's like a soccer tournament or soccer team that needs a sponsorship, I'll be doing that. Or a local church, I'll be helping them.
I love that.
Of course, getting my name out there, but then making sure that the money is being used. I realize that our environment has changed a lot. People are not reading as much as they are on Facebook. So I'm trying to have some sort of content in those platforms. I don't do Twitter. I just cannot get on Twitter. I don't understand it. Instagram, no, but Facebook, and I noticed a lot of my clients, Facebook has been the #1 platform.
Okay.
And then the Google thing and all that stuff, I'm trying to cope with that. So I know that the environment is changing. I have clients that I never met in my life, and that's something new, because usually small agency, small town, all your clients. So that has changed a lot, but with the technology that we have nowadays, there's so much you can do. And I know that I have a lot of room to grow. There's just so many things out there that I can be doing. But because I'm the only one here, I can only do so much.
That's right.
But I'm trying to keep the emphasis on the quality of customer service, how, even if it's going to take me 30 minutes explaining something, I feel that somehow that it's making the difference on how I am growing.
Yes.
And staying in the business.
Well, and that's so true. And time management is an important element, especially for a sole practitioner like yourself, because you really have to make the hard call on how much am I going to spend on marketing today, and I need to spend time on customer service. And if you're researching a case for somebody or preparing an illustration for somebody, that also takes time. So it's breaking down your day to get the most productive minutes out of a day. So Jackie, tell me, what do you find to be most inspiring for you today?
My children.
Yeah? My
children, because I feel that no matter what I do in life, it's nothing compared to the 3 people that are out there and that somehow I had influence on. Amazing human beings. They care so much about what's going on, and I don't care what they do in their professional life, as long as they were not average, I was okay. Right. And that they can go to bed with the clean conscience. And having a life that you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I get to do things that I have so much fun. The fact that I get up in the morning, I look through the window and I don't have to rush. I can cook my own breakfast, my own lunch, enjoy lunch or dinner with my husband almost anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Take time off if I need to do grocery shopping with my daughter, or just the fact that my heart and mind are in peace.
Yes.
And you notice I didn't mention money because I feel that, yes, money is important, but I have learned that there's so many things out there that when you do your work with the passion that you enjoyed, when you see people's face because you're helping them, the money comes by itself.
It
Or when
does.
you don't put all that pressure in that dollar sign, it keeps coming. You know, like it's like, okay, oh, that's right, we buddies.
Yes. Well, that's true, Jackie. I mean, your customers, your clients, they can tell when you're passionate about what you do. And you're not talking cost or anything, but they can just feel that energy coming from you when you're passionate. And you're right, the money comes. That end of the business. I mean, we have to be mindful, have to watch our pennies, of course, but the money isn't typically, especially for small business owners, is not typically the driver behind everything. It's exactly what you said. Family time, time to do the things that you truly enjoy, the ability to take time off when you want to. Those things money can't buy, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'll tell you what, we're kind of at the end of the program here. Just don't go away here, Jackie. I'm going to wrap things up real quick. Thank you all for watching this episode of Business Basics. If you need insurance, give Jackie a call down in Washington, Jacqueline, when you look up in the phone book. And Jackie, thank you so much for joining us.